Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Hawks, and this is Just Ask Children's Answers from the Experts. So let's start by talking about some of the unique challenges that youth and families have faced throughout the pandemic over the last couple of years. Certainly stress has been tremendous over the course of the last couple of years, and there's a number of reasons why that has happened. Certainly, COVID-19 in and of itself has just been tremendously stressful as people have worried about potentially getting COVID or friends and family getting COVID and having to worry about their loved ones and the possible loss of people. School has been profoundly stressful for kids over the course of the last several years, as had worries about their future and what COVID might be doing to the prospects of going to college or getting a job. We've also been tremendously socially isolated. And if you think about youth in particular, their peers are the most important source of social support. And so very quickly and suddenly, their access to their peers got ripped away from them. And it's also been true for parents who have lost a lot of their meaningful sources of support as well. Youth have had to grieve the loss of a lot of important milestones. So for example, you go through school looking forward to that day when you get to walk across the stage and be able to shake hands and get your diploma. Seniors in high school didn't get a chance to do that at the onset of the pandemic, and that comes with a lot of grief. There's also been major disruptions in schedules for both kids and parents alike. So for kids, they had to go back and forth with virtual learning and home learning and going back to school, and that has a lot of disruptions. And then you add the layer of parents who were working from home and having to juggle both supporting their kids with this virtual learning as well as having to juggle all of the work meetings that they were trying to do. And it just caused a tremendous amount of stress and disruption to everybody. And if you take a step back and think about all the different hats that parents were wearing, teacher, educator, friend, therapist for their kids, the dynamics just inherently have had to change between parents and their kids. And this causes a lot of stress because all of a sudden parents aren't just being asked to be parents, they're being asked to be all these other things and set limits and have expectations that aren't typical of what the parent-child relationship has been about. And that's inevitably going to cause conflict. So when you think about all those challenges, it should come as no surprise that mental health has been impacted. And there's a number of things that we want to highlight today so that parents are aware of some of the things that youth are currently going through when it comes to their mental health. First and foremost, the prevalence rates of mental health concerns have skyrocketed. Rates of depression, anxiety in particular, have doubled since the start of the pandemic. And we've been interested in understanding why that is. And so there have been a lot of surveys conducted with youth to ask them, what has been the most impactful thing to you with regards to worsening in your own mental health? And the number one factor that consistently comes up again and again is social isolation. And while, of course, that's upsetting because the pandemic has inherently caused a lot of social isolation, it's also really helpful and empowering information to know. Because if we know social isolation is one of the biggest causes, we know one of the things that we can do to try to help, and that's get our teens and our kids more connected to the social supports that they need. Unfortunately, as we've seen rates of anxiety and depression increase, we've also seen rates of suicide and suicidal ideation increase. And in fact, in our own emergency department, we have seen about a doubling in the amount of patients who have been presenting with suicidal ideation concerns in our emergency room. As a result, suicide is the number one cause of death for youth in the state of Colorado. In addition to mental health concerns for youth, we've also seen a significant rise in mental health concerns for parents. And in fact, a recent survey showed us that parents' own mental health concerns have raised by almost a third. And that's important to acknowledge because it's really difficult for us to be able to show up as parents in supporting our kids' mental health when we're also struggling. And so we need to think about that and how we can also address our own mental health and well-being. Recently, a lot of professional organizations across the country have recognized this alarming increase in the amount of mental health concerns that youth have had, and as a result have declared a national emergency for youth mental health concerns. And Children's Hospital Colorado has also declared this type of mental health emergency for the youth in the state of Colorado.